I'll be recording these grammar bits in different sections just so that they're a little bit shorter and you don't have to sit through listening to me for quite so long. But I strongly advise that you use these worksheets to help you study for the test. And I know we didn't have time to go through all of them in class, so I'm going to just give you the answer key and kind of talk a little bit about how you can be studying to make sure that you do the best that you can on your test on Friday. So I've told you that the first 4 questions on the test are right here to be able to list the subject pronouns. There are 8 of them. I, you, he, she, it, we, you, and they. Oops. Now when we use those subject pronouns, they can be substituted for nouns that are doing 2 different jobs. One of those jobs should be fairly easy to remember. That's the subject of the sentence. And the other job follows a linking verb, predicate, pronoun. And I'm sorry, that doesn't look very nice in there. Oh well. Then your object pronouns are very similar. There are 8 as well, and we can kind of think of them similarly. Instead of I, though, we would say me. You is the same. Instead of saying he, we'd say him. Her for she. It is the same. Us, you, and them. And the way I tried to let you think about how to, oh my goodness, to remember these is to think that you could put a little sentence in there that you can substitute each of these words for. So if we think of our jobs that object pronouns can do, we have direct object, indirect object, and object of a preposition. So if we think of a sentence that we could put here, how about give it to, and we substitute in a pronoun. I could say give it to me, give it to you, give it to him, give it to her, give it to us, give it to you, give it to them. I would not be able to substitute a subject pronoun in there because it's doing the wrong job. I couldn't say give it to I or you. And so a good subject sentence perhaps would be just putting it at the beginning of a sentence. Blank went to the store. I went to the store, you went to the store, he, she, it went to the store. We couldn't substitute over here an object pronoun for me went to the store because me is not allowed to do the job of a subject of a sentence. So this is the first part of the test. It's pretty big. It's all memorization, and what I'll do is check your answers so that when you move on to the next part of the test, even if you got them wrong, you should be able to use that part of the test to help you so you don't miss points here. So the first part you had to do was identify the correct pronoun. And in doing that, sometimes we have to go through and figure out the job it's doing. So the first thing I always like to have you do is get rid of prepositional phrases, just because it seems to make you have a little bit less to look at in a sentence. So I'm going to go through and do all of these right now. I see 2. I see 2 over here. Let me finish this one. With the most votes. Between is a preposition. During is a preposition. Of is a preposition. Of again is a preposition. Of is a preposition here. So by getting rid of these prepositional phrases, I have a little bit less to look at in the sentence. Now I did see 2 a couple of times down here, but this time it's with a verb, so I know that's an infinitive. Here's another one, 2. It's not followed by a noun, it's got a verb. And I think that was it. So if we go back to our first sentence, if I ignore the prepositional phrase, I have the guide showed us the special treasure, or the guide showed we the special treasure. Now I know that the right answer is us, but I will never accept because it sounds right as the correct answer. So we've got to figure out what job is it doing. And if we look back to our list over here, I picked an object pronoun, which means it's got to either be the direct object, indirect object, or object of a preposition. So I'd find my subject as guide, showed is the action verb, ask myself, showed what? Showed a treasure. showed the treasure to whom, showed the treasure to us. So us is an object pronoun, and it's doing the job of direct object. I also can tell from my type of sentence, since I highlighted a prepositional phrase at the beginning, that this is an intro prep phrase. And I just kind of want to keep reviewing that to reinforce the idea of you being able to recognize them and then ultimately be able to write them in your own writing. You and me, or you and I, will go to a movie this weekend. My strategy here, we've got two people. I always say get rid of that first person, and would you say me will go to a movie or I will go to a movie? And I am the subject of the sentence, and since it's the subject of a sentence, I have to use a subject pronoun. Now I can see there's no introductory phrase here. I've got no extra punctuation in this sentence, so this is just a simple sentence. Probably could type this quicker. Alright, next one. I see a comma here that indicates to me that I have some kind of either introduction or a compound. I can tell it's not compound because there's no conjunction here. And I remember that as is one of our awubuses. As, I've got a subject and a verb. That means that I have an intro dependent clause. Another thing we call that is a complex sentence. So either of those answers would be acceptable. Again, I've got that compound. I have two people that I'm referring to, so I want to get rid of Jamie. And I have to read the sentence. Would I say she earned the award or her earned the award? And I definitely would say she because it's the subject of the sentence, which means I needed a subject pronoun. Okay, I saw that I highlighted this as a prepositional phrase before, and since it's a prepositional phrase, I know that the job of this word at the end has to be an object of a preposition. So if I look back at my list, I have to pick a pronoun that's off of my object pronoun list, and that would be her. And since it's an object of a preposition, it had to be an object pronoun. Now I have to figure out what type of sentence this is. It's not an introductory phrase or clause. I see a comma here. That's a good indicator that I either have an introductory phrase or clause or that I have a compound sentence. And since I see and, I can tell that this is a compound sentence. We've got a comma conjunction with two complete sentences together. Alright, this one we had already determined had an infinitive at the beginning, so I can go ahead and label that one intro infinitive. And while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and, since I know that this one is a prep phrase already, and I know that this one is an intro prep phrase as well, because I already highlighted it. Alright, so my father trained the dog to bring it to him or to he. Again, I had already highlighted that as a prepositional phrase, so I know that it has to be an object of a preposition, and I have to choose an object pronoun, which is him. Excitedly, I can tell right there that I have an adverb at the beginning, so this one is an intro adverb. Now I've got to figure out, do I want to say he or him? So I want to get rid of the other person, my brother. Now, I have he are working or him are working, and of course neither one of those sounds correct. And that's because I changed from a plural subject to a singular, so I'm going to have to change this to is. Now would I say he is working or him is working? And I can see very clearly it has to be he. He is the subject of the sentence, and so I need a subject pronoun. The candidates are they or them. Okay, well I know this is my subject. I can ignore this because it's a prepositional phrase. My verb is are, and I know that that's a linking verb. And so one of our strategies was a linking verb was to reverse the order of the sentence. Instead of saying the candidates are they or the candidates are them, I'd switch it around. Can I say they are the candidates or them are the candidates? and I can tell that it would be they. Now I already have a subject, so I've got to think of my sentence patterns. Subject plus linking verb plus this has to be a predicate pronoun, and only subject pronouns are allowed to do that job. And for my type of sentence, I don't have any commas, no special punctuation. This is just a regular simple sentence. Okay, between you and I or me. And again, we've got already circled this or highlighted this as a prepositional phrase. So I know that I have to pick an object pronoun because this is an object of a preposition. And me is an object pronoun. So that has to be the right answer. During the movie, the king gave he or him the title. So I already got rid of those prepositional phrases. So I want to go through, find my subject is king. Gave is the action verb. Gave what? Gave the title. Gave the title to whom? Gave the title to, this is going to be an indirect object, which means I have to use an object pronoun, and that would be him. The most famous explorer was he or him. My subject is explorer. Was is my linking verb. If I look back to my other sentence, I had my strategy was to switch the order when I have a linking verb. Would I say him was the most famous explorer or he was the most famous explorer? Okay, and so I have to use, so following that, I would think the job of the word after a linking verb is a predicate pronoun, and that had to be a subject pronoun. And if I look at this sentence, I don't have any intro phrases or clauses. Again, this is just a simple sentence. The bottom half of that page, I'm going to go through a little bit more quickly just to give you the answer. The mystery surrounding the disappearance. I'm going to go through just like I did on that other page and get rid of my prepositional phrases. Of Amelia Earhart in 1932 across the Atlantic Ocean. I see to, but I know that to is with a verb there because fly, it's talking about the action of flying. Because of is a preposition, so because of her daring adventures. Of the air. To fly, again, same thing, it's an infinitive, I'll do that in a second. Around the world. To be, I know that be is a verb, a linking verb. On the trip. With she or her. In is a preposition in 1937. On is a preposition. On the historic, I've got to keep going to the noun. On the flight. And then all those other words are adjectives. Because, I had because up here, but the difference is there's no of. So it's just because, which usually indicates a dependent clause. And we'll come back to that. I've got in the Pacific Ocean, about what happened, of Amelia Earhart, after Earhart's death, of she or her. Alright, so now I'll go back and do my infinitives, because there were quite a few. To fly, to plus a verb, to fly again, to be is a verb. I notice that I have an ly here. That's going to tell me I have an adverb. Oops, I'm going to try to write with this pen again. And I know I had another one. Oh, I had because as a dependent clause, because it wasn't a preposition.